We can now move forward naman sa ating mga chemical reaction kinetics, and for the number 4 we have, this is a 12-liter plug flow reactor, so that's the volume of the reactor. And then meron tayong order of reaction, that's 3. So ito, n is equal to 3. Okay, so from this, the reactor is filled with 0.5 moles. So technically, it is converted into 0.85. So this is your XA, that's is equal to 0.85. And then we need to calculate the amount of time needed. So itong amount of time, ito yung tau natin ang tinatawag. To reach the conversion, if the rate constant, so ito yung ating kappa. That's the 18.25. Now, since meron na tayong mga given dito, ang wala na lang natin is CaO. So ano ba yung CaO natin? So CaO is simply 0.5 moles, and you have to divide this by the volume, so 12. Kasi ito, this is just your number of moles, diba? So you have to make sure na you make this in terms of moles per liter. So that is 1/24. That is smaller. Okay, so with all this given, let's determine yung ating expression. So we have kappa tau, diba? That is equal to this is a variable, this is a PFR with EA is equal to 0, so that's a constant volume. So K tau is equal to CaO, the integral from 0 to XA, dxa over CaO raised to n, and then 1 minus XA raised to n. So with this, yung ating K, ano ba ating K? 18.25. Okay? Yung ating tau, that's the one that we need. We integrate this, or we equate this with CaO, that's 1/24. Then we multiply this to the integral from 0 to 0.85. And then dxa, dividing this by 1/24 raised to, ano ba yung order? That's 3. And then 1 minus XA raised to 3. So yung XA, i-leave nyo lang dyan as parang X sa inyong calculator kasi that's our unknown. So from this, you would be getting a value of, so you should be getting 12512 liter per mole squared. -2. So yan yung unit niya, no? And then to find tau, you have to divide this by 18.25. So dividing this by 18.25 liter per mole, -2 minute. So you can cancel this unit, and then you should be getting a value that's equal to 685. So tau is equal to 685.5890. That is in minutes. So you have to convert this in terms of hours kasi though wala naman sinabing in terms of hour, pero since yun nakalagay sa inyong handout, so convert natin. Just divide it by 60. So that's 11.4265 hours. Okay, so yan. The unit can be determined based on the rate constant that you have. So in this case kasi diba per minute yan, so expect mo na yung makukuha mong tau is in terms of minutes. If ever this is in terms of hours, then hours yung makukuha mo, or seconds kung seconds to. But you have to make sure na kung sinabi sa given or sa problem na kailangan in hours, di make it hours. Okay, so that's it for the chemical reaction kinetics for number 4. So iba ba tong number 5? If this is kind of different, I will try to solve it. Okay, since meron siyang expansion coefficient, let's solve for it na lang. So, the mixture of chemicals, tapos lagyan natin ng mga designation. So, n is equal to 2. Ito yun. Then, this is your kappa. Okay? And then, ano pa ba? The expansion coefficient, ito na yung E natin. So, meron tayong value, 1.7. So, we could have E sub A is equal to 1.7. And then the reaction proceeds until 75% completion. So this is your XA. And then determine the capacity of the reactor for an initial concentration of, so this is your initial concentration, but okay, so CaO is equal to 0.57 moles. So the rate is this is the rate of the flow rate. We could just designate this as your Q na lang natin siya. 12.32 liters per minute. So, ang kailangan natin is the capacity of the reactor. So, remember, if we're looking for the capacity of the reactor, Paano ba natin yun makukuha? So, remember, meron tayong Q dito, feed rate to natin. So, pinapasok natin yung ating component in this 12.32 liters per minute. So, therefore, if you have a certain tau na time natin, pag minultiply natin dito, makakancel yung minute natin, which leaves us yung liter, which is actually the capacity of our vessel. So, we just have to determine yung tau and then multiply this with Q. But remember, this is a batch reactor, so we have N is equal to 1. Dun sa, sa taas ng ating 1 plus EAXA. So from this, we have the formula K tau is equal to CAO, and then the integral from dXA, and then, nakalimutan ko yung 1 plus EAXA. So we have 1 plus EAXA raised to 1 dXA all over CAO raised to N, and then 1 minus XA raised to N. Okay, substituting the value, so we have K that is equal to 0. Rate of filtration, so that's the rate of filtration, so it's like the RF. Okay, for a 2.27 cubic meter volume of filtrate, so this is your V, okay, and then collected from the constant rate process. So constant rate dito, so we have V over theta that is equal to negative K, the integral from P1 to P2 dP over V plus VE. Okay, so yun yung magiging formula. Okay, so the equipment has a differential pressure rating of 200 kilopascal to 450 kilopascal. That's your P1 to P2. And we have to assume that the fictitious volume is 0. So this V sub E would be equal to 0 kasi negligible siya. And then we take K is equal to negative 3.38 times 10 to the negative 6 cubic meter, not cubic, but meter to the 6th, and then per Pascal second. Okay, so ganito yung unit nung K natin usually kasi medyo marami tayong variables na i-incorporate. So from this, we can have V sub theta. So this is your RF actually. Okay, so substituting the values for our RF and then V over theta. So ano ba yung V natin na filtrate volume? That's 2.27 cubic meter. And then divide natin ngayon yung theta, which is the time na hindi pa natin alam ngayon. That is equal to the negative K. So negative of positive, the negative of negative is positive. So that's positive 3.38 times 10 to the negative 6. So that's meter to the 6 per Pascal second. So therefore, dapat Pascal din itong units ng ating mga differential pressures. So we have the integral from 200 times 10 cube to 450 times 10 cube dP. Okay, and then we divide this by the volume 2.27 cubic meter plus the fictitious volume, which is negligible, so that's 0. Okay, so this gives us a value of the expression, or pwede natin din idiretso sa theta, pwede naman yun. So that is 169 over 454. And then to find theta, we could have the value that's equal to 6.0981. That is in, of course, seconds kasi seconds tong unit nito. So that is seconds. And then if you want to determine that in terms of cubic meter per hour, so therefore the RF, which is V over theta, so we have 2.27 cubic meter, dividing this by 6.0981 seconds, so we divide this again by 3,600 seconds per hour para magkaroon tayo ng per hour na unit. So RF would be equal to 1340.0881 cubic meters per hour. And that is the rate of filtration in constant rate. So what if you want to solve it using the constant pressure filtration? So hopefully you can solve that. That's the same concept lang din naman. It's just that mababago lang yung ating ini-integrate. Okay? And I think we can now proceed to the last, which is all about this statistics. So dito nakalagay calculator is necessary for these problems. But then again, sabi ko nga, since dun sa first application natin, inallowed ko na yung calcu. So dito pwede na kayo mag-calcu directly kahit di nyo na integrate individually. Kasi nung face-to-face, in-integrate nila yan ng mano-mano pa. So ngayon, allow ko na lang para di na masyado hassle. So anyway, a scores pulled from the preliminary examination of integral calculus is equal to 9.21. So this is actually the result of the preliminary exam way back 2019, I think. 2019. Yes, 2019. Kasi 2020 kayo nag-diff-cal. So, kayo lang naman yung second batch na tinarong ko. So, yun. So, 2019, and then, due to extreme scores, kasi meron dyang mataas, merong mababa eh. So, due to extreme scores, the standard deviation is quite high. That's equal to 8.07. Okay, so from this case, let's have number 1, which is, if a student wants to find the error probability of the score ranging from 1 to 5, what would be the answer? So, gagawin natin is, standardize na lang natin siya para mas madali, no? So, we can standardize this by changing yung ating mga values in terms of z. So, for example, I want this to have yung 1 natin, gawin ko siyang z. So, z would be equal to 1. That's, di ba, x minus mu over the standard deviation. So, that is 1 minus the mean. That's 9.21. And then, standard deviation is 8.07. So, that is equal to... so, ganyan na lang. I-leave na lang natin na ganyan para exact tayo. Hindi ka pala siya na-compute. So, therefore, that's Z1, and then Z2 would be equal to 5 minus 9.21 over 8.07. Okay, so with this, the probability of finding the scores from 1 to 5 would be equal to 1 over square root of 2 pi. Okay, the integral from this Z1, that's 1 minus 9.21 over 8.07, then 5 minus 9.21 over 8.07, and then we have e raised to negative 1/2 z squared dz. Okay, and this gives you the result that's equal to 0.14615. Okay, so yun lang yan. And ito talaga is kinakalky yan kasi hindi yan kayang isolve mano-mano. So that's 0.14651. So in percentage, that's 14.6151%. So yun yung ating answer. And that's, I think nagkaroon ako ng dyslexia dito sa pagsusulat. So that's 0.1 to dapat. Okay, so marami na kayo dapat i-correct sa handout. So kaya kailangan nyo talaga itong panoorin kasi yun, may mga correction kasi dyan na hindi ko na nalagay lately. So yun, that's the first one. Now for the next number, we have determine the probability of finding the scores lower than 3. So yung scores lower than 3 naman is of course 2, 1, 0, diba? So the lower limit would be 0 yung ating x, then 3 yung yung x sub 2 natin. Pero you have to convert that in terms of z. So therefore, the probability of finding that would be 1 over the square root of 2 pi, the integral from 0 minus, again, 9.21 over 8.07. So technically, 0 naman kasi yung lowest dahil di ako nagna-negative na score eh. So yun. Okay, and then you multiply this by e raised to negative 1/2 z squared and then dz. So this gives you a value of 0.093913 ganon. So this is in percentage 9.3913%. So it's like you'll be able to determine, I mean, there is a 9% probability that you will be able to find scores that are lower than 3. So yun yung generalization that. So, if your score is 20, what percent of the population is above you? So, kung ganon, kung ano ba yung percentage ng population is above you, so you can have the lower limit as 20, okay? And then, ano kaya yung upper limit natin? Kasi hindi naman natin alam yung highest score dito. So, from that, you can test values here. Kung halimbawa, gawin natin tong 50. Gawin natin siyang 100 na agad. So, let's say 100 yung ating upper score. So, you will be getting a value that's equal to 0.09063, which is already the answer, no? So, what if ginawa mo naman siyang 200? So, if it's not changing, then you should be getting already the correct score. Or the correct percentage. Kasi ganun lang naman yun eh. Even though you increase the value of that upper limit, as long as it's within the parang range na naging asymptote na siya sa part na to, kahit gaano pa yung kataas, hindi na yun mag-a-account dun sa value na yun. So, you should be getting also the same value, that's 0.09063. So, the answer is 9.0603%. So, the technique there is that if you want to determine the score that's above you, you just have to incorporate yung upper limit, and that's, you can think of probably the highest number, pero hindi naman sobrang taas, baka ilagay nyo 1 million. Baka hindi naman tapos calculator dyan. So, you could just use mga 100, 200, pero usually, the highest ano naman is given. Kagaya din sa number 4, sinabi na yung highest or the number of items is 63. So, you should be using 63 instead of 100 or 200. But since hindi natin siya alam kanina, so we just assume na around 100 or 200 yung highest score. So anyway, the next question is, what percentage of the whole population have attained the passing score of at least 60% of the total score of, which is 63? So technically, what percentage of the whole population? So, ang kailangan natin gawin is multiply natin yung 60 to 63, and we should be getting yung ating value, which is 37.8. So, di ba, at least daw is pasa. So, 37.8 until a value of 63. So, yun yung mga pumasa natin kasi 60% yung passing eh. So, therefore, what is the answer for this particular expression? So, the answer is 1.9799 times 10 to the negative 4, and in percentage, that is equal to 0.0198%. So, that is very low. To just generalize yung concept na what is the percentage of you finding someone na pumasa dun sa ating passing score na 60%. So, that's just, wala pa siyang 1%. So, by using the same distribution curve, ang tanong na last would be how many have passed dun sa exam na yun. So, assume a total population of 176. So, you just have to multiply this, yung passing natin sa 176, which is the number of the population. So, from that, the answer is, actually dito siya, hindi siya dito kasi percentage na to. So, the answer is 0.00348, sorry, 0.03486. So, this is approximately rounded up to 1. So, technically, 1, dapat kasi diba 0, pero syempre, since hindi mo naman pwedeng round down ng isang person, so, that should be rounded up. So, technically, 1. And, in short, dun sa exam na yun, preliminary examination, parang isa lang yung pumasa doon. So, yun yung nangyari doon. So, technically, diba, pagka given kayo ng normal distribution curve with all this, just given with mean and then the standard deviation, you should be able to determine lahat ng mga parang probabilities that you want to determine. Let's say you want to find anyone that is within scores from 2 to 5 or 10 to 7, so you should be getting some idea of what percentage of that population would be. So technically in this case, yun, nalaman natin na isa lang yung pumasa. Okay, and I think na hindi naman yun yung case sa inyo, no? Kasi, ayun, napahirap ata yung exam na to. So, anyway, that's it for the applications 2 and 3. So, hopefully, ay nag-guess nyo siya kahit talagang paspasan. And, we'll be including this in your finals as well as the last topics that I'll be uploading sooner or later. Okay, so that's all, and I hope to see you on the consultation. Probably after na lang nung finals. Okay? So that's all.